Doug, the indictment with these new charges was unsealed at a court hearing this afternoon. A Riga woman has been charged with animal cruelty for failing to properly care for 150 pets. It actually took us about 40 minutes to go less than 5 miles. They were expecting to have power back on today by 2 o'clock. We're talking about the huge tsunami that swept across parts of northern Japan. Tsunami warnings have now been issued in at least 20 countries and many Pacific Islands following that earthquake. It was 8.9 in magnitude. One expert who studied the 2004 tsunami says it will be a miracle if the death toll in Japan is below 10,000 after Friday's earthquake and tsunami. Meantime, survivors are coping with aftershocks and the threat of a nuclear meltdown. And welcome back. Let's take a look at what's happening as we cover the counties. New tonight, a Michigan man faces charges for hacking into his wife's email. He's facing felony computer misuse charges for logging onto his wife's Gmail account. After reading the emails, he learned his wife was having an affair. She had filed for divorce. Prosecutors claim the charge is justified. As we told you earlier, we're expected to learn more about the future of Midtown Plaza. Despite what happens, millions of dollars in local development projects are expected to move forward next year, changing the landscape of our community. New tonight, two brothers accused of tying up a barber in Gates are expected to be back in court tomorrow and face new charges. With the mercury dropping, you'll probably do everything possible to stay inside and warm, but not everyone has that option. Many of us woke up to the sound, there it is, of ice scrapers this morning. It was definitely a day to let your car warm up before driving to work, wasn't it? The slick roads made for a slow commute and caused a number of accidents overnight. It doesn't carry a pricey designer name or even diamonds. Still, it costs $13,000. We're talking about this purse. You'll see it in just a second here. It carries a different kind of notoriety. It's the handbag a Florida school board member used to smack a man who was holding other board members at gunpoint. Well, most people build gingerbread houses on a table, but a man in Illinois, look at this, it's moving, decided to do things a little differently. He put his gingerbread house on top of a lawnmower. He got the idea when he wanted to enter his neighborhood Christmas parade, but it requires people to decorate a golf cart. And since he doesn't own one, he decided to get creative. The gingerbread house is more than 8 feet tall, has all sorts of decorations, including lights and music. And obviously it worked on the neighborhood kids. Look how excited they are. That is hilarious.
Okay, so the tractor, it actually covers the tractor.
It must cover the tractor. I guess.
For a minute I was wondering.
See, it just kind of freaked me out because you don't usually see, it looks like a little clubhouse rotating on wheels, you know?
Being driven by the Sugar Plum Fairy.
Exactly, and I'd be chasing it to like pick candy off of it too. But I mean a break that won't be like just a day and then it all goes back into cold Armageddon again.
We may be near freezing by Wednesday.
It is that time again. Chuck Wade joining us for a big game that happened in Syracuse today. The Orange making an appearance against
Villanova, the
Very
team
nice.
they set.
Stay cold.
Yeah, and just seeing that negative temperature right
Yeah,
there. Woo.
yeah, maybe the coldest night of the year.
All right, thanks so much, Mark.
In his auto repair shop in Rochester, veteran Bud Stetz carefully carves a thin piece of brass into the shape of a star. Stetz gently spray paints the edges, then attaches it onto a small wooden plaque, his own version of the military's Gold Star flag.
Usually is reserved for mothers of fallen soldiers. I figure families of fallen soldiers is just as good.
He made one just 2 days ago for his family's own fallen soldier, 39-year-old Army Staff Sergeant Mark Allen Stetz, Jr.
He broke the ice. He was the best.
Stetz and 2 other men were killed by an IED on February 3, 2009, coming back from a mission outside of Islamabad. His death, one of the first U.S. casualties in Pakistan.
When it happened, Fort Bragg broke into tears. Not just his group. Fort Bragg broke into tears.
Stetz says he hung the Gold Star right in the center of this American flag, then went to the airport to greet any troops that might be coming home. When he got back, the star was gone.
Somebody boosted my star. Right now, I'd like to apologize for the neighborhood for popping off like a madman last night.
Stetz isn't yelling anymore, but the anger and hurt remain.
What it represented and what it stood for are more than the 50 cents or a dollar or whatever it's worth.
He'll make more flags.
Making one for myself, a replacement, and for my brother, his father.
To continue to honor his nephew and those who served their country and paid the ultimate price. In Rochester, Elizabeth Schubert, 13 WHAM News. 2 months ago, a surgeon removed a cancerous section of Sean Crisafulli's large intestine. Normally, the procedure means a 7 to 10 day hospital stay. Crisafulli was out in just 48 hours.
So basically, it was a 2-day recovery for me. I was up and walking Friday evening. Minimal pain. I never took a pain med.
His surgeon, Dr. Stephen Rao, used this machine, a type of high-end robot called the Da Vinci.
It provides for a very high-definition, enhanced 3D visualization, greatly magnified with the best illumination that is available in an operating room.
It's a type of laparoscopic surgery magnified 10 times. This is the surgical simulator where doctors can practice different procedures like suturing without the patient.
Right, now roll your hand, you're dead on, perfect. That's a perfect.
What's amazing here is the range of motion that a surgeon has using the Da Vinci. We took one of the arms off the robot, and look, you can rotate it 540 degrees. Now imagine the flexibility that gives a surgeon using this robot as opposed to doing surgery with just the human hand.
And these advanced robot hands are in demand for patients who don't want the scarring and recovery time of a large incision.
We are struggling to get enough operating room time periodically to offer this as often as we'd like.
But those like Sean Crisafulli, who have experienced surgery with the Da Vinci, say this robot is often the best use of every patient's time. In Rochester, Elizabeth Schubert, 13 WHAM News.
Are we having pizza?
Paul Riegel first noticed something was wrong when he was just 5 years old.
I was like, wow, I'm trying to speak, but I can't. And I get stuck on words. I'll try harder, but I can't.
Where are you going?
He spent years in speech therapy, but still struggled to get the words out. Riegel says he felt angry and alone. Even worse, he didn't want to use his voice.
If I could avoid talking, I would. Say I would ask a friend to come over. I would say, like, can I just text them?
That is St. Edward's chair.
When Riegel and his family recently saw the King's speech, the teen felt like parts of his own life were playing out on screen.
I thought it was great to tell people who don't stutter what it's like.
The medical community is also trying to understand. In 2010, researchers discovered a gene that may cause the condition. Essentially, speech and language pathologist Susan Cochran says, the brains of people who stutter are formed differently.
So you have to have this predisposition in order to stutter. So that was true with King George, because if it was just genetic, then his brother may have stuttered as well.
Jack and Jill went up the hill. Went up the hill.
Paul Riegel hopes the movie will teach others to be more patient and encourage people like him to seek help.
If they're talking to you, don't just walk away. Don't just look away like this. Just stay with that person, because he or she probably needs a friend who like understands them.
Susan Cochran says fear is a huge part of the problem. When people are scared to talk, it actually makes the stuttering worse. Paul, by the way, has been working with Susan for less than a year. You can see he's made huge gains.